This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Half hour brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and out every day. 6 great flavors of slushies, ready to drink cocktails. High Noon, Jack Daniels, Crown Royal. And the pickle bar led by the Barrels and the Dills. Indeed, second to none. All at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. And with that, we bring in the outstanding Bob Flounders. Sir, welcome back. Great to have you with us.
Steve, a couple things. It's always great talking to you. Excited to see the game Saturday. Glad it's a noon kick for a multitude of reasons. And I hope you're perched at renovated Beaver Stadium, because we're not on. I don't think we're on the same side anymore. Maybe we are.
We are
it's a little different for us, but I hope you're hanging in there.
We are on different sides. The perch, we're at the 45-yard line, which is great.
Yeah.
Because they took out the upper stands, we're closer to the field, and we're lower to the field, which the vantage point is phenomenal. The only thing, and Pat Kraft knows, because Pat and I have talked about it, I need them to take the window out.
Yeah.
I mean, because the windows don't go up or down. So it's enclosed. And I said, look, like the TV booth doesn't have windows in it. I said, we need the same setup. And he agreed. It's just a question of when they can get it done. They hope they can get it done by the Villanova game. How about that? So that's
Dave, let me tell you something. If Pat Kraft doesn't deliver for you, you shoot me a text like around 10 a.m. Saturday. I'll come run across and I'll break the glass with a sledgehammer for you.
Okay, let's mark down Bob for help. There we go. Okay, good. So I felt like the opener was one of those foundational games. Let's see what kind of foundation you have. Did you feel the same way? And if so, what kind of foundation did you see?
Yeah, I think, James has been very upfront, like he usually is. The non-conference schedule is what it is, and I think this year with this team, what's at stake, who they brought back, who they added, and where they need to establish some depth that they're not quite sure about, I think it sets up pretty perfectly for them. It's a veteran team. They know how to prepare. And I think that I don't want to say – I'm going to be careful how I say that. I think they want to take care of business, get everyone out of there, and, once they're comfortable, it really doesn't matter what the final score is if they execute, to their capabilities to put the game away. And the fans that get really upset about some very trivial things, I guess I can understand it, but you have to understand what Penn State's trying to do this year, how unique of a situation they're in. And I think that they got just about everything they wanted to accomplish done last Saturday.
Well, part of it, too, is situational football. They were put into a 2-minute drill. And I know you got a veteran quarterback, veterans across the board, but you still have to do it. I felt like they were put into some situations which allowed them to practice what they were preaching about situational football. What did you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think James talked about it, what they were able to do late in the first half, start the third quarter, the new defense, getting on their toes early in the game. And when, there weren't maybe some exciting plays on offense other than maybe a couple, but this is kind of what they get into Big Ten play. They're going to lean on this offensive line and those running backs and those tight ends, and they're going to go on some long drives. I said it to people. It wouldn't surprise me that this team ends up being a little bit like the 2023 Michigan team in terms of you know what's coming. We got the lead. See if you can stop it. And if it's a little bit boring at the end and you can't stop it, who cares?
Right. Exactly right. They played 73 players, excluding, that didn't include Zion Tracy or Zariah Fisher along the way, but they played 73 just on a pure value. For a young player to get in the game for a first time, what do you think that means just to start their resume?
I think it's a big deal. I think with this team, there weren't a lot of opportunities for a lot of good players to make moves. There's a lot of depth spots that are going to be key because some injuries are going to happen. But, just off the top of my head, the defensive tackles behind Zane and Ford, I thought what I saw from them was extreme. I know it's Nevada. Very encouraging. It does look like they have some live bodies that are going to get better. Obviously, curious about the transfer portal wideouts, but, really the one, Devontae, I don't think has been quite right, and he's going to be better, in a couple of weeks. But what Pena and Hudson did, fantastic. But really, Rappleyea, what he was able to do, the way he moved, he's been getting a chance for almost a whole quarter of work and to drive the team the way he did and make some plays with his feet. And, just a guy like Cam Wallace, who's been through a lot, who they really like. Very, very encouraged to see them. I'm telling you, Steve, I think this freshman corner, Darius Dixon, as deep as that room is, by midseason, he's going to make a couple plays this season that are going to really help swing things in Penn State's favor, I believe.
Heck of a prospect. There's no question. Heck of a prospect. When I look at the three transfer wideouts, I feel like I'm seeing three different skill sets. Are you seeing the same thing? Yeah, I am. I think Pena is somebody that you ask him to do anything, whether it's line up at different positions on the field, whether it's run or reverse, make an impact, special teams. I think he can handle it all. I mean, that heavy workload last year at Syracuse, he's not going to get that. But it kind of prepped him for the spotlight because he was in the spotlight at Syracuse. I think of the three wideouts, just for his pure value, I would put him a little bit above the other two, but I also very impressed with Hudson. And I think that Ross is going to really be able to help this team when he's healthy. In specifically a couple of areas that they really need help with. I think he is a much better version of Omari Evans, if that makes sense. Yeah. Dani Dennis-Sutton last year was the complement to Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
Now, look, the sample size is small, but what do you think, based on his size, athleticism, and so forth, what kind of impact can Dani Dennis-Sutton have this season if he stays healthy?
Yeah, so I thought going into the season, and some people will disagree with this because of where they might get drafted, I think Penn State's two best players, if I was going to pick a team and not, in terms of just pure impact right out of the gate, it's Dani and it's Venga. Those are my picks before anyone else.
Right.
I think what Dani did the last two games last year against Boise State and Notre Dame, it's just been a continuation of that. He is a confident, serious athlete who works hard. There's no question in my mind he's a first-round pick. And, Steve, I would put it to you. He's a different kind of defensive end that has really kind of flourished lately in the James Franklin era. He's a complete DN. He's a guy that's a strong-side guy who can beat up a tight end in the run game if he has to. If you turn him loose and stand him upright and tell him to go get after the quarterback, he can do that. But a lot of these guys have been, I don't know if I would say they were complete defensive ends, but they were just supremely skilled pass rushers. I'm not including Abdullah because he was very good against the run as well. But when you have somebody as big as Dani, I mean, his value, I think, at the next level, people are going to see it. I think he's one of the best pure defensive ends that Penn State has ever had.
Well, let's add to that, because something that's invaluable at the next level is that the NFL teams, would like to idealistically incorporate zone blitz. Well, you need to have defensive ends that know how to drop and play zone blitz. Dani already has 2 interceptions in his career, the one at Indiana a couple of years ago and the one against Notre Dame. He has the athleticism and the length and the hands to make plays.
Yeah. I mean, he's a little bit like Tyler Warren was for Penn State last year on offense in how he can impact the game in so many different ways.
Right, and no question about that as to how he plays. Penn State, you mentioned Dixon. So the corner play, Collins, Harris, Washington, Dixon. What kind of luxury is that for Jim Knowles if you have 4 lockdown corners that you can throw out there? And what does that mean as to what he can do with the other 9 guys?
I think it's huge. I think that you're not going to see a lot maybe from the mad scientist maybe in the first 3 games with what's coming. And I would also argue that if you kind of follow him, Steve, with who he was singling out on social media in the spring, in preseason, I think it was a huge priority for him to identify his nickel player. And I think that Zion, Tracy, and Wosley, with Jim Knowles kind of setting them up and putting them in the right spot, I think that position is one of the more underrated positions on the whole team. And I think especially Tracy, but also Wosley, are going to really, really enable him to do some creative things.
Yeah, no, there's no question. It means that's why he plays a 4-2-5.
Yeah.
What do you think of Campbell and Rojas at the linebacking spots? I mean, DeLuca's a given. We know what Dominic can do. But what about Rojas and Campbell together out there?
I thought what Campbell did was one of the more impressive things I saw for him making his first appearance at Beaver Stadium. I know he's a veteran. I know he had some good plays at North Carolina, had a good season. But he gets to the ball in a hurry. He hustles. Doesn't take any plays off. I know he's going to be able to help them in pass coverage as well. But the way he found the football and the way he fought through traffic to get to the ball when he was blocked, when you pair him with Rojas in like a 4-2-5, there aren't many Penn State defenses that I've seen have been faster than those 11 guys, just because of the athleticism on the field.
The offensive line, you brought it up about Venga. So it's Drew Shelton, it's Dawkins, it's obviously Donko and Rucci, and then they mix in Cousins, mix in T.J. Shanahan. When you look at this offensive line, what did they bring to the table that maybe we haven't seen in a while at Penn State?
So it's their experience. It's, Steve, like late in the season, when the running game really took flight, starting with Maryland and then Oregon and then through the postseason. You would hear Nick Dawkins and you would hear Venga this offseason talking about, why did it happen? And they had become so in sync and so comfortable with each other that they could anticipate what was coming on defense. They knew what the alignment was. They knew who they had to pick up. They knew who was probably going to come free. Drew was on the same page with them. And I would just say that when James talks about, all these veteran guys, that he's kind of managing their reps in practice, and, they're very careful to make sure they're as close to 100% as possible. I think there's a world in which these guys just were rusty a little bit in the opener, just because they were kind of protecting him a little bit, and they didn't want to risk too much. And I think that you're going to see some significant improvement in the next few weeks as those guys shake off the rust, get to actually hit somebody, get to communicate a little bit better. And the other thing, Steve, is as good as Anthony Donko was at tackle, I think you have to give him a little leeway playing guard, just because it's a new position, different expectations, different things you have to be on the lookout for. All those things, I think, were in play a little bit in the opener, and I just think you're going to see this offensive line like that.
Bob, it is always a pleasure. Love the insight and appreciate everything, including your ability to come over and offer to take care of the window.
It would be my pleasure to do it, and I would do it right in front of Pat Kraft if you wanted to.
How bold you are. Thank you so much, Bob. Appreciate it.
All right, see ya.
Bob Flouders, PennLive.com. And this half hour being brought to you by our good friends at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket, imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere, wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and hot every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. And ready to drink cocktails. High Noon Jack Daniels Crown Royal. Pickle Bar led by the Barrels and the Dills, my 2 favorites, indeed second to none. At Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is, because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
A lot has changed since 1915 when the Mertz family began selling cars here in Central PA at Sunbury Motor Company. But one thing that hasn't changed is the Sunbury Motor Company's commitment to satisfying more customers, selling more cars, and providing you with a tradition of trust. Whether you visit Sunbury Motors Ford, Sunbury Motors Hyundai, or Sunbury Motors Kia, you know you're getting the area's best selection and best prices on both new and pre-owned vehicles. SMC's values of hard work and dedication are as prevalent today as they were over 100 years ago. They take pride in satisfying Central Pennsylvania's automotive needs and providing their customers with the best buying experience possible. Come visit Sunbury Motors Ford and Sunbury Motors Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury, or Sunbury Motors Kia on the Strip in Hummel's Wharf. Sunbury Motor Company, owned and operated by the Mertz family since 1915.